All right, guys, I hope you just enjoyed my best Bill Evans impression. I know it didn't even come close to comparing, but today I'm excited to dive into talking about some of the different techniques that Bill Evans used to play how he played. So without further ado, let's jump right into the lesson. All right, guys, so technique number one is block chords, but not quite how you think. So we've definitely talked about block chords before on this channel. If you haven't checked out those videos, I definitely recommend checking those out just to understand. But I'll do a really quick review here. Let's just stick with some minor block chords. So we're gonna use the C melodic minor scale as our example. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a flat 6, okay? So this is really like a bebop variation on the minor major scale, the melodic minor scale rather. And then this is how our block chords look, right? We put a diminished chord in between each diatonic chord. We practice them like this. Now, Bill definitely did have this skill very much under his fingers. He could easily improvise using block chords, but something that actually made him unique as a pianist was that he was left-handed. So he actually would sometimes, I've noticed, do these block chords in his left hand. So he actually had a really great handle of moving chords diatonically in his left hand. So technique number one for us guys is going to be to actually learn these block chords in our left hand instead of our right hand. So like this. Awesome. Now, this often went hand in hand with his right hand improvisation because technique number two is going to be essentially improvising with our right hand, but rhythmically matching that with our left hand. So this was a really interesting thing that I haven't really heard a lot of other pianists do. And he would kind of take it further and do stuff, you know, like... So that's kind of a really interesting way of playing. I actually really like that. I'll try to throw that in every once in a while when I'm playing. Now, a third thing I want to talk about here, guys, is the fact that Bill Evans was fairly interesting in the way he approached learning a song and performing it. He was not the type of player who would just sit down and just see what came out and play the song. He would actually come up with all the voicings he wanted to use beforehand and really arrange the song. Now, honestly, guys, that is kind of the opposite of how I like to do things, and you know, for better or for worse, I like to just sit down and see what happens, use the voicings I've already got under my fingers. But Bill Evans was different. He was meticulous. And because of that, he was really amazing at arranging melodies. He could use block chords, but also mix those with other voicings in his arsenal to essentially do some really beautiful arranging on the fly. Stuff like this. So he really liked to have a very arranged sound on the piano when he was either playing a melody or improvising. And because of that, some of his improvised melodies would end up sounding a little bit more melodic than your typical improvisation, although of course he also had quite a right hand which he would go off with for more linear improvisation a lot of the time too. Now, another thing which I found interesting about Bill is that maybe again because he was left-handed, he would often do really interesting left-hand comping rhythms. He would do hemiolas and do some really beautiful rhythms that worked against what his right hand was playing. You know, things like... So that wasn't perfect, but I think you guys get what I'm saying here. Now, continuing on the conversation topic about how arranged everything he did was, that also applied for solo piano, right? As you might have noticed me doing in the intro, he would do things like this. He would actually arpeggiate 2 chords at once, and this was a way of harmonizing the right hand improvisation. So again, he really liked to harmonize everything, including his right hand improvisation. So one technique we can try here is essentially improvising with the left hand while we do the right hand and outlining a chord with the left hand. So. All right, now let's dive into more of his solo piano techniques. So in terms of voicings, of course, he just had a profound understanding of voicings. He had so many under his fingertips, but one of the best tips I can give you if you want to sound like him without studying all of his voicings is learn your voicings diatonically. So this especially applies for left-hand voicings. And what I mean by that is this. See if you can actually move your voicings up a scale or the scale, which is diatonic, to that voicing. So if you're doing a left-hand chord in C minor, so we're doing the C melodic minor scale again, we're gonna move each note in our chord to the next possible note in that scale. Now, not all of these sound good, but it allows us to have more movement when we're improvising. Now here's where this especially comes in handy for sounding like Bill Evans, other than the left-hand comping stuff. He used this tactic a lot when he was actually creating inner motion during solo piano. So let's take a 2-5-1 in E flat, right? So one thing he might do is, so all I'm doing is moving those up the corresponding scale. So here's a B flat minor voicing. This is a nice one. 1, 5, flat 3, 11, flat 7, 9, 11 on top again. And then I just threw this little voicing in the middle, which is just flat 7, flat 3, 5, and moved it around. So. Then land on the E flat, and then. And that little lick is just a minor third, moving down the diminished scale. That's another thing he would sometimes do. And in terms of that inner motion, that's a really important thing, to be able to comfortably create that movement, because that's something Bill could do really, really well. Now, another thing you may have noticed me doing is also essentially rolling up the left hand. So I'm basically just arpeggiating the left hand chords in order to create some motion. And this is something I talked about a bit in the solo piano textures video as well. If you haven't seen that, be sure to check that out. But here we go, I'm just arpeggiating the left hand. And in solo piano, we can arpeggiate the whole chord like this. And we start to get that really beautiful motion happening. Now, really quick guys, I wanted to let you know about something really cool that I'm gonna be doing soon. I can't tell you too much about it quite yet, but for the last several years, I have been teaching you guys tons and tons of information, and I've had a lot of private students, and I've been developing a really interesting new method of learning jazz piano, and I wanted this method to really focus on achieving a modern sound and getting that neo-jazz / neo-soul inspired sound. So I'm calling this the neo-jazz piano method, and if you guys want to know more about that, be sure to click the link in the description and sign up for the early bird waitlist for my new upcoming course, Jazz Piano Secrets. So the course itself is going to have very limited space available, but I'm also releasing a 6-part video series about this new method of learning improvisation as well. And obviously guys, just to clarify, I'm sure people have taught some of these concepts before, and so when I say it's new, that is to the best of my knowledge, but I don't think anyone's ever put all of these concepts together before in this way, and I really think that this method is gonna help you guys improve and gain that modern sound a lot faster than other ways of studying jazz improvisation. So long story short, I'm really excited. This is gonna be by far the best course I've ever put together. And again, if you're interested, make sure to join the early bird waitlist. Space is gonna be super limited, and there are actually already about 4 times as many people on that list as I can accept. So the best chance of getting into the course is just gonna be to get onto that wait list. It's actually gonna be first come, first served, and I'm super excited about it. It's by far the best thing I've ever created. So again, if you're interested, click the link below the video. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about Bill Evans' playing. Obviously, I'm no Bill Evans, but I'm doing my best here to break down his playing and teach you guys some concepts in a way that's really easy to understand and to hopefully implement into your playing as well. If you liked the video guys, as always, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please consider clicking subscribe and clicking the little bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a single video like this one. All right guys, thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.